You know Skid Row. They played that old song you hear on the radio. No, not that one. Yeah, that's the one. Well, probably. Anyway, who is Skid Row? And more importantly, why is Skid Row? Let's try to figure it out on Metal School. Skid Row was formed in New Jersey in 1986 by bassist Rachel Bolan and guitarist Dave Sabo. They were joined by guitarist Scotty Hill and drummer Rob Afuso, as well as Matt Fallon on vocals. Who's Matt Fallon, I hear you ask? Well, not only was he the original vocalist for Skid Row, he was also briefly the frontman for Anthrax between their first and second albums.
Missed it by that much.
Skid Row did record a demo tape with Matt Fallon on vocals, and he's certainly not bad.
It needs zazz!
Meanwhile, a Canadian kid named Sebastian Bach was zazzing it up with glammy Detroit-based metal band Madam X.
You know, the more fun we have off stage, the more fun we have on stage. We come from the school of thought that we'd rather be way too much than not enough.
Mission accomplished. Sebastian would eventually join Skid Row at only 19 years of age after he spotted singing at a wedding by John Bon Jovi's parents.
We were auditioning singers and stuff like that, and we had found out from a friend of ours that there was this guy in Toronto who was a brat and was nasty, and he could sing and look good to boot. And we got together, flew him down, and next thing you know, he's in the band and we're rocking.
Skid Row's self-titled debut album was released on January 24th, 1989, with a pretty lackluster album cover by metal standards. They look like they're, I don't know, waiting to get abducted by aliens, got locked out of their tour bus. It's unclear. The songs, primarily written by Bolan, are all pretty damn catchy. Even tracks that weren't singles could have been, and the solos are fantastic. The album still has the musical flamboyance of hair metal, but with a grittier attitude. Sebastian's energy and vocal range is a perfect fit and elevates the music even further. Skid Row burst onto the scene with their first single, a chant-along rock anthem, Youth Gone Wild. In the video, the band is rocking out alone in some warehouse, and it's intercut with black and white shots of fans running, I guess on their way to see the secret warehouse concert. The second single, Piece of Me, opens up with some good old police brutality. That's intercut with shots of the band playing a show. At least the fans are already there this time. The song sounds aggressive, but isn't really about anything in particular. Kinda like the video. It's just the band playing and cops arresting people out of context. Next was Skid Row's biggest hit, 18 in Life. We're in prison, and we pass by several hardened criminals. And we finally come upon this guy at the end, and you wonder, who is this sad-looking dude?
Ricky. Oh, Ricky.
Oh, it's Ricky. Then we see some of Ricky's home life. And you know a dad and a wife beater is never a good sign. Out of my way, Dad. Holy shit. So Ricky gets thrown out of his house, literally. I'm fine. I said I'm fine, Steve. Screw you, Dad. Yeah, way to get kicked out of your house, dude. So Ricky steals his dad's gun. He's screwing around with his friend, shooting bottles, getting drunk. One thing leads to another. Things get a little out of hand. Oh, Ricky, no! Poor Ricky. For the last single off the album, Skid Row slowed things down with I Remember You. The band is playing in a private warehouse somewhere again, And this time, we see a homeless dude just wandering around and looking at Polaroids of his ex. It seems like there's more going on than just a simple breakup here, so I don't know why he's homeless, but it does give him the opportunity to randomly stumble across the band and spy on them. And to get inspired by that sweet guitar solo. So the homeless guy is so moved by Skid Row's performance that he realizes he no longer needs those stupid Polaroids. Take that, memories! With a hit album and chart-topping singles out, 1989 was a huge year for Skid Row. But it wasn't a great one for young, impulsive Sebastian Bach. First, he'd be seen in the February issue of Metal Edge magazine wearing this shirt.
Frontman Sebastian Bach became rock's latest embarrassment this week when a picture of him wearing a t-shirt with the declaration "AIDS kills fags dead" appeared in Metal Edge magazine.
MTV gave him a chance to explain.
Okay, well, this says AIDS kills fags dead. And I said, what's wrong with killing little bundles of wood? No, anyway,
His initial apology didn't go over that well.
I do not know, condone, comprehend, or understand homosexuality in any way, shape, form, or whatever. Size. But I do understand that it is not cool to make fun of death. So there's my statement. Thank you.
Mr. Sensitivity.
His second one wasn't much better.
One of my friends is a homosexual in New York, and a really, really good friend.
Yeah.
Oh boy, moving on. Then in late December, Sebastian was back in the news after an altercation at a live event.
Who the fuck did that, man? Who the fuck did that? There's nothing in it anyways. Was that you, cocksucker? Was that you? If you're so fucking tough, cocksucker, I dare you to come up here right now and give a piece.
You think for a second he's gonna be smart about it and just move on to the next song. But he doesn't. Don't do it. Sebastian, no! Sebastian!
Bach has been free on $10,000 bail since his arrest following a concert in Springfield on December 27th, at which Skid Row was opening up for Aerosmith. During Skid Row's set, the singer was struck by a bottle hurled from the audience, and he hurled it back, allegedly striking a 17-year-old girl in the crowd. Bach then leaped into the audience, allegedly landing on the girl and also kicking another fan in the chin. The girl sustained facial cuts and bruises, and Bach was apprehended in a car after the show by Massachusetts State Police.
Apart from his plea bargain on the criminal charges against him, Bach also arranged out-of-court settlements with two fans who were hurt during the incident, Richard Burgoyne and Elizabeth Myers. Myers, the most seriously injured, sustained a broken nose and required 7 stitches in her face.
I just had to pay a truckload of money. And I got 2.5 years probation. It was like, 4 Ferraris. Basically.
So, all that happened, but the band kept recording. Their follow-up album, Slave to the Grind, was released on June 11th, 1991, and was notable for being the first album ever to debut in the #1 position.
Sitting atop the Billboard Pop Albums charts with the group's new record, Slave to the Grind. According to Billboard, it's the first hard rock album, in fact the first album by a band, to enter the chart at #1, a rare enough feat and one accomplished in the past only by such megastars as Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, and Bruce Springsteen. Under its new computer tally system, Billboard says we're liable to see a lot more albums debuting at #1 and then dropping rapidly in subsequent weeks. In the new chart, last week's #1 album, NWA Niggas for Life, drops to #3.
Slave to the Grind is a bit heavier than Skid Row's first album, and a great mix of punchy 90s rock and the power ballads that fans had come to expect. Oddly enough, the album's cover was actually painted by David Bierk, postmodernist painter and Sebastian Bach's father. For the first single, Monkey Business, we get some black and white shots of Sebastian Bach walking down a railroad and through some wood pallets. Where is he going? Apparently, he's there to meet the rest of the band for one of their random private jam sessions. He's just the last one to show up. Someone also got really excited about trying out all the new 90s digital video effects.
There's a lot of different interpretations from it. Rachel wrote it about like being a poser.
About halfway through, the video turns color for no reason. Probably so you can see those rad 90s digital effects better. The second single was title track Slave to the Grind. And if the subtlety of the title is lost on you, the video provides an opening to help. Because look at all of these business people, and those rad 90s digital effects. Then we see the band rocking out by themselves in another warehouse. This time though, they're surrounded by equipment and crates to remind you that people also work in warehouses. Next up is sleazy rocker and mainstay on any ultimate stripper playlist, Psycho Love. And if you still need more bodacious 90s digital effects, this video should have you covered. The video has a bunch of raunchy images and headlines flashing on the screen that sort of go along with the raunchy lyrics. Also, you can tell from this breakdown that the band is starting to get a bit grungy. Not too grungy though. They still had to deliver on the power ballads, and they definitely did with Wasted Time, one of Sebastian Bach's best vocal performances. Also, Sebastian is singing alone in a halo of light for some reason. He looks like he's about to get beamed up by one of those aliens they were looking for earlier. There's also a story going on about a drug addict or something, but there's too much strobe lighting to tell what he's addicted to or what happens exactly. It goes from a headache to shooting up real quick, and it's downhill for whoever this guy is from there. The final single from Slave to the Grind was Quicksand Jesus. As you might guess from the title, there's a lot of religious iconography here, with a little girl planting an acorn, I guess. Lots of crosses, of course. Eventually that seed turns into a tree, which I'm sure is a metaphor for something.
You guys have just completed another video.
Yeah, for Quicksand Jesus. It's going to be pretty bizarre. A woman by the name of Julia Haywood did it, and she's pretty much a performance artist, and she gets into a lot of weird stuff. It seemed like she knew what we were thinking when we wrote it, so I was like...
What were you thinking when you wrote it?
Ask her. It's too long of a story.
She knows.
No, it was all about, trying to keep faith through good and bad.
Then the little girl from the beginning shows back up, now an old woman. She sees another little girl by the tree and randomly gives her a rosary for some reason. Seems like it would make more sense to give her her own acorn to grow her own tree, but who knows. The little girl immediately runs off to sell the rosary. By 1991, Skid Row had 2 hit albums under their belt, as well as a frontman whose media celebrity was eclipsing even that of the band, despite a habit of being unpredictable in interviews.
Hi, how are you?
Sebastian got married a few weeks ago. How did that work out? You really happy?
Yeah, have a seat. You're too tall. It worked out great. And you know what sucks? AIDS fucking blows, doesn't it?
Yeah, they do.
Can I see that for a sec?
No, just behave.
Okay, sorry.
Skid Row's third album, Subhuman Race, was released on March 28, 1995, and sounds like it. This album leans pretty heavily into the grunge sound, but in 1995, how could it not?
We just did everything different.
Yeah.
Right from the songwriting, we wanted to get away from what we did in the past, and from recording, we did it with Bob Rock, and he did things completely the opposite of what we were used to.
Unfortunately, aside from the changing musical landscape in general, the band was also starting to break down internally. Even the album cover looks like both no idea and too many ideas all at once. My best guess is it's some kind of zipper. The first single, My Enemy, is in full-on mid-90s mode. No melody, spoken lyrics, and even the chorus is nothing special. Also, the video for 9 Inch Nails' Closer had come out about a year before this, so adding weird-looking cyborg people was pretty common by this time. The second single from Subhuman Race was Breakin' Down. This video sees the band hanging out at a cemetery, dressed like they're going to a funeral. The location, along with the song title, kinda makes this video feel like a metaphor for where the band was at this point. Also, there's a little random angel girl poking around and she doesn't seem too thrilled either. Then, we're suddenly rocking out in a mausoleum. Well, we're in a mausoleum anyway. Alright guys, great jam session. Yeah, I love playing in cemeteries. Ah, frayed rope. Very 90s. An old man pouring dirt, definitely. The video for the band's last single with Sebastian Bach, Into Another, has it all. Crow, check. Random virgin girl, check. Why is she picking up a dog? Who cares? Oh, and don't forget Falling Angel Feathers. So much 90s symbolism. The song isn't bad, but there's a lot going on in this video. I don't think that bag of dirt is ever gonna be empty. The girl's still holding on to the dog, Angel Feathers still going, and then we're left with whatever this is supposed to mean. In 1996, Sebastian Bach would be fired from Skid Row. There doesn't seem to be any specific reason for the breakup, but frankly, I get the impression that Sebastian can be a lot.
Being someone that, enjoys boning, safely, might I add.
Good, thank you for that public service announcement.
At Sebastian's request, just a reminder that this is live television.
In 1999, Skid Row would hire Johnny Solinger of Texas rock band Solinger and record a new album, Thick Skin, released on August 5th, 2003. Despite a god-awful album cover, Thick Skin is infinitely more listenable than Subhuman Race. Oh yeah, Rob Afuso also left and was replaced by drummer Phil Varone, previously of Saigon Kick. Johnny Solinger is not as bombastic as Sebastian Bach, but he's a fine singer. He has a hard rock vibe with a touch of country, which probably explains why he's doing country music now.
We're all part of a new generation. Sold our souls to the next temptation. Lead us not to our own damnation.
But neither Thick Skin or its follow-up are particularly memorable. Revolutions Per Minute, released on October 24th, 2006, with new drummer Dave Gara, won't make your ears bleed, but it won't melt your face either. Aside from the general hard rock stuff, there's also a full-on punk track.
God can't wait for sinners to come home. God can't wait for saints to stand alone. Fight the fight, and fighters like to fight. Bleed the blood to get you through the night.
And a country song.
You lied to me the first time. You lied to me again. You pushed me out the front door while some strangers walking in. The way you say you love me is as ugly as sin. You lie, you lie, you lie.
So Skid Row's final studio album is a bit of a mixed bag. A lot of fans wonder if Skid Row will ever regroup with Sebastian Bach, but it seems unlikely. Even before breaking up, Rachel Bolan sounded philosophically against it.
The Who could have been immortal, and they still are in a sense, but they could have been immortal, and if they just stopped. I love The Who, they're like one of my favorite bands, but to come back just to get together, I don't get it.
But still, we'll always have those first 2 albums, and they totally still hold up. So that's my Skid Row video, done.
Congratulations, Zach.
Thanks, Sebastian, and thank you for watching.